see.
Good morning. I'm Pat White, Superintendent of Public Instruction. Welcome. We're here today with Governor Kaine and a group of public-private partners to announce the Real World Design Challenge, which is a wonderful opportunity for high school students all across the Commonwealth. The Real World Design Challenge is being sponsored by the U.S. Department of Energy in cooperation with its national laboratories and other governmental agencies and private partners from business and industry. The beneficiaries, of course, are our young people, our high school students, their teachers, and ultimately our workforce and economy. The challenge will require teams of high school students to demonstrate creativity and innovation in applying science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to solve a real-world problem in aviation. This focus on STEM is a natural fit for Virginia's newly established Governor's Career and Technical Education STEM Academies. Today, we have with us our public and private partners. The challenge, as you will be described and issued by our public-private partners. I want to go through all those who will be speaking today, and their comments obviously will be brief because we want to allow our Excellency, the Governor of the Commonwealth, to speak with us today, to be able to accept the challenge on behalf of the Commonwealth. So in order of speaking, we have Mr. Fran Favari, Director of Engine Propeller Directorate, the Federal Aviation Administration. We have Dr. Ralph Coppola, Director, Global Government and Strategic Education Programs, Parametric Technology Corporation. We have Mr. J.J. Gertler, Assistant Vice President, Aerospace Industries Association, and Dr. Robert Lindbergh, President and Executive Director of the National Institute of Aerospace. After the challenge is presented by our governmental and private partners, Mr. Paul Stapleton, Superintendent, Halifax County Public Schools, will accept the challenge on behalf of the school divisions who are sponsoring teams of high school students to compete in the challenge. And then I will come back to the podium, and I have the privilege of introducing our very special guest this morning, our governor. So let us begin.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
What a great honor it is to be here in Richmond, Virginia, with all who are truly understand how important this challenge is. I'd like to offer my personal congratulations for being among the first of the founding states to announce this challenge. I'm not only excited to be representing the Federal Aviation Administration, but it's also my pleasure to represent the Department of Energy. I know we are here because we all share the passion to make sure that our kids of today have the opportunity to succeed tomorrow. And I'm sure many of us have a passion for science and engineering. What makes me so excited about this challenge, it's our opportunity to build a science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM, workforce pipeline. We are not seeing the numbers of scientists and engineers that our nation needs to continue to be a global leader. This is a great way for the government and industry to partner and to address this issue. We in the FAA and Department of Energy will be providing science and engineering mentors from our national labs and aviation centers. This is a great way for us to pay it forward. With all of you, we are proud to be a contributor to this enterprise. This is our chance to give our teachers, schools, and students state-of-the-art resources for free. We love what we do, and we can share that passion with our kids. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ralph Coppola. I'm with Parametric Technology Corporation. It is a real pleasure to be here today. I've done these announcements across the country, but this is my home state, so being here in Virginia is really a great pleasure. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the strategic significance of the challenge and then tell you a little bit about the challenge itself. So to put things in context, the challenge is an aviation challenge, as you've heard. But we as a nation face some strategic challenges as a country. For example, if we focus in on the aviation industry, we look at the number of people that are in the workforce and the number of people that are retiring. If we have about 54% of our workforce in the aviation and defense industries that are 45 years old or older. 1/3 is eligible to retire today. And if we look at the number of kids going into the pipeline, we've got about 7.5% of all of the kids going into baccalaureate programs going into fields like engineering. Of that 7.5%, only about half graduate with a degree in engineering. Excuse me. So we have some real challenges. If we don't satisfy the workforce from a national security perspective, a lot of these companies are engaged in national security related activities for the Department of Defense, Department of Energy, Homeland Security. If we don't have the workforce to fill those jobs, and they need to be filled by US citizens, then our national security is at risk. If we look at it from an economic competitiveness perspective, we've all heard about outsourcing to India and China. And it's true, we can hire an engineer in India or China for 1/4 of the price of what it costs in the United States. But that begs the question, what should we be producing in terms of engineers or technicians in the United States that makes them 4 times the value of a person in India or China? Well, I would argue, and they have to be 4 times the value in order to be competitive in that global marketplace. I would argue that the value that we can bring to the table is the value of having a workforce that's innovative and adaptable, innovative being the key. How do we teach people to be innovative? That's the question that those of us in education need to address. Well, we address that by, we can teach them the design process, teach them how to design things. It's a regular methodology like the inquiry process on the science side. So we teach them that process to teach them to be innovative. Well, in what context? We have an aviation challenge that we're using to be able to get them to use that process in the context of solving a problem. The challenge will have the students look at the 4 forces of flight: lift, weight, thrust, and drag, and see how those forces impact the design of an airplane with the aim of enhancing fuel efficiency. That's the challenge, defined by industry. Why is it real world? We didn't choose those words capriciously. We did a focus group with aviation and defense companies, and we asked them, we looked at the data, but we asked them, what do you really want in that workforce? And they said 2 things. First, they wanted a workforce that had academic credentials that were excellent, not a surprise. But they wanted 7 to 10 years of real world experience. Well, that was a big surprise because that adds a decade on the pipeline that we don't have. We asked them, can we infuse the real world experience in the education system at the K-12 level? And they said yes, and at the undergraduate level. So that told us to design a program that infused real world experience in that program. So it's real world in the sense that it's an industry-based problem that's current, and energy certainly is a current issue that we're all aware of. They use real tools. My company is Mentor Graphics are donating $1 million worth of engineering software per teacher. So they're real professional tools. The kids play real roles like project manager, scientist, engineer, marketing and communication, and they have an opportunity to make real contributions. So this is what we're hoping to do. The challenge itself has essentially 2 parts. The governor makes the announcement, as Governor Kaine will be doing today. The teachers are trained, and they're already being trained in Virginia. And then the teachers and the students solve the problem. And then we have an award ceremony. The winning team in Virginia is announced, and that team goes on to Washington, D.C. to compete with the winning teams from around the country, from the other states. And then a national winner will be chosen. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Governor, I'm afraid that I bring you good news and bad news. The good news is that America's aerospace industry is bullish on Virginia. You can see that in lots of ways. First, most of our major companies have operations across the Commonwealth. Second, our association that represents all those companies is headquartered here in Virginia. Third, when we run the world's largest rocketry contest, as we do every year, we bring the finalists to Virginia, to the Plains, for the national championship. And Governor, I hope next May that you and everyone here can join us for those finals. The reason that we're enthusiastic about Virginia, there's several. One, a very well-educated workforce. Two, people who are dedicated to the missions of the aerospace industry, bringing people together globally, exploring the outer space, and national security. But even more so, because Virginia has a tradition of innovation in its government, of looking out to the future. And that's reflected in today's announcement about the Real World Design Challenge. We are facing a real world challenge in our industry. You heard some of it from Dr. Coppola. We have a demographic emergency. The generation that won the space race and won the Cold War have earned their rest, and they are retiring in enormous numbers. We are not generating anywhere near the technical talent we need to replace them. Just a few quick numbers point that out. Each year in this country, we graduate about 70,000 engineers with baccalaureate degrees. Sounds like a lot. But if you take out just the top 5 disciplines that aren't really applicable to aerospace, the mining engineers, the highway traffic engineers, and people like that, you're down to 55,000. But an awful lot of those students, more than 20%, came to schools like Virginia Tech and ODU and Radford University just to get the best education available, as we have here in the Commonwealth. And they go back to their home countries when they retire, or when they graduate, rather. That means there's about 40,000 engineers available each year to the industry. Now, 40,000 sounds like an awful lot, but thanks to the retirements, just one of our member companies says they're going to need 10,000 a year for at least the next 5 years. We represent 280 companies, all of whom have needs like that. And in those 40,000 are all the software engineers for Apple, all the materials engineers for General Motors. That's 40,000 for the whole economy. So you can see what a fix we are in as an industry. The good news is that competitions like this inspire kids. And what we find is you have to get to the parents and you have to inspire the students early. The Real World Design Challenge is yet another example of Virginia looking forward, looking to the future, and adopting programs to make things better for all of us. It's a reason that our industry will be even more in love with Virginia. Thank you, Governor.
JJ, thank you for setting the challenge for us. Governor Kaine, the National Institute of Aerospace is pleased to be a partner with the Commonwealth, with the Department of Energy, with the Federal Aviation Administration, Parametric Technologies, and the other team members that are here today to implement the Real World Design Challenge in Virginia. I'm Bob Lindbergh. I'm the President and Executive Director of the National Institute of Aerospace and a Professor of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering at the University of Virginia. The National Institute of Aerospace is a nonprofit research and education institute that serves as an external strategic partner with NASA Langley Research Center in Hampton, Virginia. NIA is a national leader in aerospace education and partners with 5 Virginia universities to train the aerospace workforce and the aerospace leaders of tomorrow. It's imperative that the next generation of Virginians have a solid understanding of science and technology, how engineers use science and mathematics and engineering skills to address society's challenges. We will depend on this next generation to advance new solutions to address global needs, not just in aerospace, but in fields as diverse as energy, the environment, and human health. Some of our young people will be future aerospace engineers. Others will go on into careers in engineering, in science, in medicine, business, in the law, even in politics. All of them will be future voters, and therefore must have an understanding and appreciation for both science and engineering in order to be informed decision makers. All of Virginia's young people will need math skills, will need fundamental understanding of science, and an appreciation for how engineering transforms the design world around us for the benefit of society. The Real World Design Challenge will help meet these needs. To support this effort, the National Institute of Aerospace has over 60 aerospace research staff, more than 70 engineering graduate students, and more than a dozen faculty members ready to serve as mentors and reviewers for this challenge. We're looking forward to the opportunity to contribute a real-world perspective to high school education in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you.
Good morning. What a beautiful day outside and what a beautiful day inside for the students of Virginia. I can't think of anything that is more important than the announcement that Governor Kaine is making today. On behalf of the school systems assembled in this room and any school students in the Commonwealth that will eventually have access to the pro engineer, to all of the partners that we see up here today, I want to say thank you on behalf of all of those students. Governor Kaine, thank you for allowing this to come to Virginia and for our students to have an opportunity to participate. You know, we have a little saying in Halifax County that, you know, it's children first for our future. This is the best example I can think of that. We push, as Ben and every other school system in here, we really push STEM education because all of us as public educators realize exactly what you're hearing from our business partners and our governmental partners up here, and that is the need, the tremendous need that's going to be there. We have some really smart students in Virginia. About 4 years ago, we started a STEM Academy in Halifax County with 85 students. Currently, this semester, that STEM Academy has over 700 students in it. And we believe that what we're doing, and we are very fortunate to be one of the 6 school systems that are currently hosting the Governor's Academy for Career and Technical Education. Ours is called for Renewable Resources and Agricultural Science. But everything we're doing in our STEM program is going to carry over in our academies. We have 8 academies. We believe in that approach, and we believe that approach is going to fit what our business partners are asking for here. So on behalf of Halifax County, on behalf of all of the divisions assembled here today, and for all of the students that we'll be able to touch around the state, I'd like to say to our business partners, you came to the right place because the students of Virginia are ready and they will deliver on this. And what an exciting opportunity for our students to have the type of mentors and partners that will be available to them in this program. It is just exciting to think about. It's hands-on, it's high level, and it's going to be a great opportunity for our students. So thank everyone that's responsible.
It's my great honor to introduce someone who needs no introduction, but I will introduce anyway. Today, our very special guest is the lead advocate for STEM education in the Commonwealth, one who believes that STEM education and career and technical education go hand in hand. So I am proud to introduce His Excellency, the Honorable Governor Kaine.
Thank you, Pat, and I want to just say how thrilled I am to be here for this great occasion, which brings together a number of really important issues in education and economic development. I want to thank Pat, who has just done such a wonderful job in the state's Department of Education, and so proud that she is serving as superintendent. The initiative we're talking about today is something that is very much in accord with her philosophy of moving the state's education system forward. And I want to thank everybody who's participating today. As you can see, the great projects in life are hardly things that you do on your own. It's all about partnerships. It's all about partnerships, and that is the case with this challenge. It's also the case with the strategy that we're using in Virginia to advance STEM education. I want to say first that as far as I know, I'm the only governor of Virginia who has ever served as the principal of a career and technical school. The Instituto Técnico Loyola in El Progreso, Honduras, where I served as a principal in 1980 and 81. Teaching kids how to be welders and carpenters, and adults as well, in an evening program for adults. And I learned then the power of career and technical education. Pat introduced me as the champion of STEM education, and I actually think she's the champion of STEM, but maybe to the extent that I brought something to the equation as governor, I've tried to bring a real focus on career and technical education. The STEM subject matter, science, technology, engineering, math, happen in all areas of education, and certainly students have been taking these programs in the college prep courses in the Virginia Comprehensive High Schools, but maybe my own little contribution to this has been to really try to push career and technical education more into the forefront. And we've got some wonderful career and technical educators here, and this is a real renaissance for career and technical education in Virginia and elsewhere. A couple of things on that score, and then to talk about the challenge. when I was running for governor, I had the idea of, wow, we have all these governor schools, and Virginia is unique in having a network of governor schools, regional, public, accelerated high school programs that serve virtually every community in Virginia. We're the only state that has such a network that serves all corners of the state. But I noticed that the schools were all sort of college prep focused, and I thought, well gosh, why shouldn't a high quality career technical program have the governor's school label on it, just like a college prep accelerated high school would? I had the idea at the time of starting a new governor's school that would be a career and technical, governor's career and technical academy. But the good folks at DOE and my own staff heard me talk about it, and they said, how about a better idea? Instead of just creating one, why don't we take the career and technical programs around Virginia, set rigorous criteria both in terms of content but also partnerships with the private sector and also with educational institutions, and let anybody who's truly rigorous in these programs compete for the governor's label. And we've now named the first 6 governor's career and technical academies, focusing heavily upon STEM disciplines. That's the first thing we do. Second, the legislature and I have worked together with DOE to create a new diploma in Virginia. Instead of just a standard and advanced high school diploma, we now offer a technical diploma, which is standard plus a technical concentration. And again, we encourage our students to get those diplomas, emphasizing that technical and career education is important. And finally, we've really promoted local school divisions working with students to get verified career certificates. Those certifications that really count. You know, as students, as I often say, a score on an SOL test may not mean much if they move to Tennessee or Oregon in a couple of years, but if they get a Cisco Systems Administrator career certificate, which they can do in many jurisdictions while they're in high school, they can move across the country tomorrow, and that'll mean something to an employer. And so we've seen the number of career certificates granted to our high school students in Virginia more than double in the 2.5 years that I've been governor. That doesn't happen because 1 or 2 jurisdictions are doing something. It happens because there's a recognition across the Commonwealth that these programs are really important. So that's why we're here today. We are very, very committed to enhancing these STEM opportunities. This challenge is a great challenge because it advances STEM education in a fun way. And the challenge is to encourage schools to join and get involved. We've got superintendents here. Superintendent Stapleton spoke about it from Halifax. He's really been a leader in this, but others around the state are encouraged to be part of it as well. And to get their students involved in this fun real-world activity in partnership with the partners that are behind me to figure out more fuel-efficient ways to design aircraft, which is a big picture challenge for the future. And while the students are working on this incredibly important topic, they're not only going to be learning STEM disciplines, they're going to be learning in an area where we have to get better. We've got to figure out ways to be more fuel efficient for economic reasons as costs of fuel go up, also for environmental reasons. 40% of greenhouse gas comes out of the transportation sector. We think of the greenhouse gas problem as things that are coming out of smokestacks, but it's also about aviation and vehicles. And Virginia has a particular expertise and niche in aviation. Just in the last couple of years, we've done some very exciting announcements. Orbital Sciences, one of the major private aerospace companies that shoots rockets and satellites in outer space, has committed to making a significant investment on the eastern shore of Virginia to do more rocket shots from Wallops Island, the NASA facility there. And Rolls-Royce has announced a manufacturing facility to be built in Prince George, which will build the next generation of civil aviation aircraft engines. And what they're looking at in their design is the way to be world leaders in fuel efficiency. And so this is a very real world scenario that our students will be wrestling with that will take advantage of some expertise that already exists in Virginia. I do want to thank the partners, U.S. Department of Energy, very, very creative to come up with this idea, to learn about energy efficiency, but at the same time give students an option. To PTC, as you heard, with a generous offer that they have put on the table of supplying the software to the schools that choose to participate. This will benefit teachers, it will benefit industry, it will benefit our students, and it will really bridge that gap, that challenge that we have of needing to train more to be in these STEM disciplines. Virginia is very fortunate. We've got an education system that is second to none, and other governors, if they're off the record, will share, boy, I wish I could trade places with you, in terms of the value of the K-12 system and in terms of the power of our higher ed system. So that's great, but we can't rest on our laurels. We've got some massive challenges that we have to deal with as a nation, and fuel efficiency is one of the most important ones. And so our students will be enhancing their schools, but also helping us solve a problem that we have to solve if we're going to break our addiction, some of the addictions we have to foreign oil, and get to a more secure energy future. So great partnerships mean great opportunities. The students who take advantage of these opportunities will be real winners going forward. And I'm so glad to see some students right here. I hope this challenge is about you. I conclude just to say to the superintendents, the teachers, and the students, this is about you guys. We want you to participate. And, hey, why not? I want Virginia to beat the other states that participate. But the school's got to get in and do the projects first. So congratulations to everybody. And I want to thank all the sponsors who are here today. Thanks.